Well, guys, something happened in the stock market this week that I personally thought I would never ever see again, and it's to do with these two companies called AMC and GameStop. Now, if you haven't heard of them, they're two companies that during the pandemic weren't doing so well. They're borrowing a lot of money. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the reason why they became so popular back in 2021 was basically, I think Wall Street was shorting the companies, like driving the stock price really low. And for some reason, a bunch of retail investors all decided to come together, and they called themselves like the ape community, and they came together and they basically drove up the price of both of these stocks, causing a gamma squeeze, because when you've got stocks that are really shorted, they have to cover those shares, and that just sends the stock price going absolutely crazy. And all these people came together, and I remember at that time I was getting into trading around that point. And this was during the pandemic, that deadly virus that was so dangerous that you had to wear a paper mask that was 10p to survive. And I was looking for other ways to make money, and I started looking into trading. And I remember everyone talking about these stocks, and I put them on my watch list. And at some points I did buy in. I never seemed to time it right. Like occasionally I would win, but I'd usually always like buy at the top and have to sell for a loss. And then as time went on, people seem to have just either bag hold these stocks and just given up, because Wall Street managed to beat them back down again, and the kind of hype and buzz around these stocks just continued to die. AMC is pretty much on the verge of bankruptcy. They're in serious debt, and GameStop wasn't doing too well. It's definitely a better company than AMC though. And AMC did something called a stock split, which is basically, if you're holding a stock and they do a stock split, it's not what you want to see. And that's what AMC had to do to try and keep afloat. And I think that also kind of killed a lot of momentum with people. And it was a lot harder for the stock to kind of go on these mad runs that it was doing. But yeah, this week, after all these years of both these stocks just going to, new lows, basically, not necessarily all-time lows, but going back to really seriously low prices. Like GameStop was at like $10 a share like a week ago, and AMC was barely holding $3 a share. Now, a couple of days ago, I woke up and I looked at my trading platform, Trading 212, and I was looking at the pre-market, and I saw GameStop was up, hundreds of percent, like over 100%, and AMC was as well. And then Tuesday, like the next day, they were up in the pre-market 150% each, just crazy. And I just never thought I would see this again. And everyone was talking about it. You've got like people like Andrew Tate, and the reason for it happening again is the guy that had kind of started this all off and brought everyone together, Roaring Kitty, I believe his name is. He hadn't posted on his socials or Twitter for a few years, and he posted a picture that was like correlated with GameStop, and that kind of brought the buzz back. So it seems like one guy managed to kind of kickstart this momentum off again. But it's funny because I remember arguing with people on forums on like Reddit and Trading 212 community, and people being like, the MOAS is going to come, and that is an abbreviation for mother of all short squeezes. And I would comment going, no. And I would comment going, no, it's done, it's dead. These companies are probably going to go bankrupt, and what we had when they first started to go crazy, like that was it. It's done. And I think a lot of people were starting to feel that way, but you did still have people going, no, it's definitely going to happen. And I was laughing at them. But I tell you now, I'm not laughing this week, because GameStop went from $10 a share to $80 a share in the pre-market. I believe it was on Tuesday. And then AMC went from $3 a share up all the way up until like nearly $14. So you're talking, 700-800% for both of these stocks individually, which is just crazy returns. I never thought I'd see that again. Now, did I buy? Well, you can bet your ass that I was definitely I was definitely feeling the FOMO. And I think there's a lot of people that have just made a lot of money, and there's people that are, losing a lot of money right now. So I, yesterday when I was in the gym and GameStop it opened up, they both opened up at like 100 odd percent when the market opened. Because you've got pre-market, which is in the UK, it's from like 9 a.m. until half 2 p.m. So in the pre-market, they were up a lot. And then as soon as the market opened, they kind of started to lose traction. But they were both still up like 60%, I believe, each on the day. And I was in the gym and I was seeing GameStop kind of be steady at around like $43 to $45 mark. And I thought, screw it. I'm gonna buy it because if it did what it done for the past 2 days in the morning, the next day, then I could make a quick 1,500 to 2 grand. So I actually put 1,500 quid into GameStop, and then I put 1,500 quid into AMC, and immediately right off the bat. That night, I had already made I think it was about £300 on GameStop because it was up like 20% from the minute I bought in. So I sold that, and then the next morning, I bought back in, and the next morning they rallied up like 30 odd percent, and I was up like £700. And this is where you don't learn your lesson from last time. There was times before where I bought these stocks and I was heavily in the green, but you have a number in your head when you trade stocks, and if you're emotional, like most people are, like I am, not everyone's like that, but this is how it gets you. You'll be up, but because in your head you've got a number of like, right, I'm going to get 50%. They can easily give me 50%, even though you're up 25, 30% like I was this morning, and you get greedy. And this is kind of where this is kind of why I'm doing this video for myself as well, to remind myself that when you're in these situations to not get greedy, because I actually ended up selling and only making overall like a couple of £100 more, when it would have been a lot more if I'd sold when I was in that nice profit. But in my head I was like, if they're up 30% now, then they could easily go another 70% from here, and I could make my 3 grand, or if they went up 50%, I could make 1,500 quid as opposed to the 700 quid that I was already up. And funny enough, today has been an awful day for GameStop and AMC. They opened up this morning, like I said, like 30 odd percent. And as I'm looking at it, you've got GameStop is down nearly 20% on the day, and in after hours it's down 10%. Let's have a look at AMC. Yeah, AMC is down 20% exactly, and then in the after hours it's down another 7%. Now, is the run done on these stocks? Nobody knows. This is a massive gamble. Me personally, I feel there is so much hype. If you go onto any of the forums, if you go onto Yahoo comments or anything like that, you've still got the apes coming together and saying, this is the dip. Just buy the dip; it'll go back up. You could well see both these stocks be up 100% tomorrow. But me personally, I'm not going to make the same mistakes I did last time, where I'm going to FOMO in, even though I did that yesterday. Because, what happens is you end up looking at it and you don't make the right decisions. And if you are going to do it, then, you need to make sure you set like a stop loss. And that was something I kind of learned today to do better at. There was times where I sold for a profit, and then I kept thinking it would maybe dip down, so I could sell, dip down, buy in, and then it would go back up. But it was more like I bought on the dip, and then it would go up a little bit, and then it would go back down even more, and I didn't set enough stop losses. So then, you could easily go down from being a couple of percent to 15% in a matter of minutes. That's how quick and volatile these stocks are. But yeah, I'm first to admit that I was wrong about these stocks. I totally lost faith in them. I think a lot of people did, but to the ones that still believe that this could happen, fair play. They still haven't reached their all-time highs like they did back in 2021. But they've definitely had a nice run this week, something that I never thought would happen. But I'm not going to FOMO back in. I think this could still continue, But I think when it comes to these kind of stocks, you have to just be really careful. And it's hard because it's hard to see both of these stocks maybe go up, hundreds of percent, and then the minute you buy in, it drops down. I kind of felt like that. Within 2 days, I think it might have even been like the following week before as well. They were running up so much, and then the minute I buy, of course, I did get like 10, 20, 30% nearly at some point. But I didn't get 100, 150%, which I could have got the days before. And it can kind of feel like, the world's against you when that happens. But that is FOMO for you. And these stocks will certainly teach you how to be a better trader in that regard. And just to not always FOMO in. And these stocks could 100% continue to skyrocket. So I'm definitely interested to see where they go from here. AMC is still on the verge of bankruptcy, so it's not a good company. It's not something you want to hold long term at all. And just today alone, we've seen how volatile these stocks are. But yeah, it's certainly been an exciting week in the stock market. Something, this could be the last time we ever see this. Who knows? We could see both of these stocks run up to thousands of percents like they did last time, because they goes to show they've still got it in them. So if you have bought these stocks and you are an ape, or you do believe in the MOAS, then drop a comment and let me know. I'll be interested to know what your plan is. Or if you are very much like a skeptic and you're thinking, these companies are trash, they're going to go bankrupt, never buy them, then also drop me a comment and I'll be interested to hear your view on it. So if you made it this far as the video, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.